Who are the teams that need to finish strong here over the next 30 days to really kind of give their fan base, I would say, a little bit of hope and a little bit of excitement going into next year?
Well, let's start with Michigan, right? The defending national champions. Obviously, it has been a rough go of things on the field for Sharon Moore in year one. But you look at the recruiting trail, it seems like they're finally kicking it into gear. They've had a ton of visitors the past 2 weeks. And the biggest nugget really is they're involved with Bryce Underwood, our number one ranked prospect in the country, quarterback that me and you both think can play in year one. He is a longtime LSU commit, but he's from right there in Michigan. Linked to him, sounds like the Wolverines are involved. NIL compensation, that's all getting tossed around out there. But you also got to give Michigan credit. I mean, they flipped top 247 cornerback Shamari Earls from Georgia, trending for Elijah Dotson, our number 10 ranked safety, Cooper. It seems like Michigan has a plan all of a sudden. And I think for Sharon Moore, that's important because he needs something to point to as they head into that 2025 season.
Now, for all the criticism of Sharon Moore, and well deserved, in my opinion, what they've been able to do the last couple weeks on the recruiting front is certainly reason for optimism. I think if you're a Michigan fan, Drew, you mentioned Shamari Earl has been banged up a little bit this year, has struggled to stay healthy, but this is a guy that, when healthy, we thought really kind of had an outside shot at a top 32 spot, one of the more gifted corners in the class. We love him from a height, weight, speed standpoint. You think about Grayson Littleton, who just decommitted from Clemson, Cristobal in there from Sam Webb at Michigan Insider, Drew. Not to mention guys like Elijah Dotson that you mentioned currently committed to Pittsburgh. If they end up with those two guys and they flip Benny Patterson from Cincinnati, you like what Michigan is doing in this class. Feels kind of like an old school throwback Jim Harbaugh type of class, guys that they develop 2 to 3 years down the line and that are kind of key cogs in the machine for the Wolverines. So Michigan, one of those teams to keep an eye out on right now. They rank number 13 according to 24/7 Sports. Drew, the other team, about Ole Miss, sitting at number 21 right now, 18 commitments. And this is a little bit different because Ole Miss is one of those teams, they're going to lose a ton of production, right? They invested heavily in the transfer portal this offseason, but what's it going to look like next year? Jackson Dart gone, maybe it's Austin Simmons who jumps in for him, but have they built the line of scrimmages well enough via the high school ranks to be a team that can contend in the SEC year in and year out? Guys like Caleb Cunningham, Chaz Coleman, kind of the names left on the board, Drew, but they're in a pretty interesting spot going into 2025.
And I think they need to capitalize on the fact that they're still in the college football playoff conversation, right? Cooper, Florida State. I think at the beginning of the year, I wrote about it in the talent tracker on CBS Sports. Hey, everyone laugh now about them falling off after a magical 13-0 season. I said that could happen to your school as well, because when you push all those chips in, it creates a situation where, hey, maybe some of the players that we signed from the high school ranks aren't getting those developmental reps in practice. And it's so easy when you are looking at the veterans that are available that are going to help you right away to push high school recruiting to the side and not focus on that. And I think that's what Florida State's going through. I'm not saying that, hey, Ole Miss, they're going to be looking at a 1-8 season next year, but I do think they need to get it done on the high school ranks. The big name I have circled for them, 5-star wide receiver Caleb Cunningham, committed to Alabama. A lot of schools kind of looking at him. Ole Miss is going to lose their pass catchers. Those guys are going to be off to the NFL. Who's going to step in and be able to move the chains for them? Caleb Cunningham would certainly make life much easier.
All right, let's talk about another school in the SEC in Florida, Drew. They're 4-4 right now, but at the same time, it feels like people have a little bit more confidence in Billy Napier, just given what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, playing well, played tough against Georgia, especially given the circumstances that they're missing some of their best players. Got some good news today, according to Billy Napier. It seems like DJ Lagway injury to his hamstring, not as significant as they thought. Could have an opportunity to potentially play this week. Drew, that kind of changes things in terms of how you look at the next couple weeks. But right now, Florida ranked number 51 in the recruiting rankings. They only have 11 commitments. The two guys on top of that class, Drew, Vernell Brown, Ben Hanks, both those guys' legacies, Miami pushing for both of them. It's got to be so important for Billy Napier to find a way to keep those two dudes in the boat.
And I feel like Napier's had his hands tied behind his back. And I know you'll disagree with me here, but with so much uncertainty about his future, it's kind of, hampered Billy Napier and his staff's ability to recruit. The fan base has not made it easy for him, and that's unfortunate because if Billy Napier does come back, Cooper, you look at some of these true freshmen that are making plays from the Gators. Those are guys that were key evaluations that where the Gators beat everyone else to the punch. Jaden Ball, I mean, that was a guy that got on late last cycle. So I'm excited to see maybe how Florida finishes here if it is Billy Napier, because I think if you're a Florida fan, you need to look at some of the guys on the roster and realize, hey, these guys made strong avals. Jack Pyburn, the edge rusher, that's another guy that Florida's staff kind of beat a bunch of people out on. So to me, Billy Napier, we'll see what his future holds, but I do think his staff does a great job of evaluating talent, sitting 51st right now. If they keep him, hey, can they get closer to a top 5 class?